I've seen some articles coming up that, talking about how now all of a sudden manufacturing is going to miraculously come back to the United States because energy costs have gotten so low, it's actually less expensive to manufacture here in the United States than it is elsewhere. Can you talk a little bit about that, or what your thoughts are on that?
There is, in apparel, quite an effort to bring production back to the U.S. First to this hemisphere, and that's quite successful. So U.S. Fabric mills have quite a large market, especially in cotton, in South America and Mexico and all these regions, and the Caribbean. And there are many U.S. government initiatives to help that process. But bringing it back to the U.S. has been a struggle. Even though the models are starting to point to the fact that energy efficiency, which is not a small factor in apparel, there's a lot of machinery and equipment, more than people think. And so you can actually run a physical plant in the U.S. cheaper than you can in China right now. So if it's just the machinery and the investment required and all the equipment, it's actually cheaper to do it here in the U.S. than in a lot of what we call third world countries. But we aren't very good at management. And so the biggest problem you find is the very, very low efficiency, low worker productivity in the apparel industry anyway in the U.S. It's very low compared to what you find in much of the rest of the world. And it's all management. That's what I deal with, is working with factories to make a process easier for workers and have their involvement in how a product flows through the system. And it's all about minutes and seconds and half seconds. Because when labor's involved, time is everything. So you have hundreds and hundreds of workers and thousands of steps. So how do you make that system flow? Well, you can only design it or automate it. The answer in the US is often to automate production, and you can't do that in apparel. The design changes are too quick. And there's some apparel that you can do with automation, but mostly you need to use really engaged workers who are really happy to come in and change the system they work in every day. So when they come in, there's something wrong with it, or they can think of a little bit faster way to do it. They are engaged enough to do it, and the management lets them do that. That does not happen in the US, at least not in the apparel world. Some of the worst factories I've visited anywhere in the world are here in the US in apparel. They're very oppressive environments. So it's been a real struggle. So until there gets some enlightened management in US apparel factories, it's a struggle. It's not a small factor, it's huge.